Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zach, and as usual, we're looking at the Ecomi price, Omi stuff, and VeVe stuff right now. The price 0.003011. Is that correct? 0.003011. Yes, that is correct. And then a low 0.002968, and a high of 0.003485. Now, we're going to be listening into the VeVeverse Immutable X discussion with Rhys. I've skipped in a couple of minutes because this first start, this is a long ass thing. I got a lot of things to do today. It's 2.5 hours, so we're going to skip through all the casual conversation and try and get to the main points. We're also monetized now, so if you're watching this video and you saw an advert, I appreciate your support. If you're using adblock, F you. Having said that, let's jump straight into it. Let's also get ourselves focused.
Just trying to keep the conversation flowing. We have Kyle Crypto joining us. Hello.
That's better.
We lost you.
Right, let's get through it.
Is anybody as shocked as I
Was on. Yeah, absolutely. My knee-jerk reaction was, oh no, Ethereum, gas fees and stuff. But the deeper that I looked into it and discovered all the benefits from it, it's an all go for me.
Yeah, I remember Dan, the COO, he was talking about layer 2 solutions. So, me being me, I just basically started looking up at every single potential layer 2 solution there and which ones relate to NFTs. So I knew it was going to be something either related to, Immutable X or, Polygon could have been one. But yeah, I know that the reason why they went with GoChain in the first place was to do with the transactions and scalability. So it had to be kind of one of the few that were there.
Did anyone go as far as looking into Starkware, the ZK rollups? Do you guys understand that side of the technology, or does that get a bit too deep?
I would like to hear a little bit more about that. I was reading a little bit about it, and I got out of crypto for a little while and missed out on all the kind of layer 2 wave. So yeah, I would definitely like to learn more about that, especially when it pertains to that.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just give you my general understanding of what I've pieced together here. So I think, as you just said, a lot of people seem to think that Ethereum is something to be scared of because of the gas fees and that kind of thing. But the current chain, the layer 1 chain, is the security of the network, right? And then you have side chains which operate their own validator sets. They might have 21 nodes or something. And that's actually kind of how Polygon or Matic operates, right? But because they've decided to integrate with Ethereum and support the network instead of try to run against it like a Binance chain, they're very much supported in the ecosystem. A layer 2 runs, it's secured by the base chain, right? So it's different to how a side chain runs, but it basically runs its own network on the second layer and then commits to the main chain as we go. I'm just going to close Telegram here. Sorry, guys. So as it's then up to, say, Immutable, for example, to send a block or commit transactions once a week or once a day or whatever it is to maintain that ledger on the base chain. But because it's on its own infrastructure now on layer 2, you get these gasless, feeless kind of transactions. Now that is enabled by a technology called ZK snarks or ZK proofs, which is zero knowledge proofs, which to my understanding basically means that you can prove the identity and the transactions of A to B without needing all of the powerful computational power that the miners currently use on the base layer chain. So it makes...
To be very clear, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to this entire thing, or at least the major points, and then we're going to make separate videos going over every point that makes sense and going into it in more depth, and then we have other videos to react to. So, big day.
These transactions, instant, near gasless or whatever, depending on what's being sent around. And there's a few apps that already run on layer 2. So Immutable is the first purpose-built layer 2 for NFTs, but you also have Loopring, which is a layer 2 exchange. You also have DYDX, which is layer 2 derivatives now as well. And at the moment, there's a bit of a transition, right? You have to pay a gas fee to get from layer 1 to layer 2 for Loopring and DYDX. They're the only ones that I've used so far. But once you're there, everything lives on layer 2 and you go back to almost like the early days of Ethereum, where transactions were, almost free and moved around instantly. So the whole idea is that layer one will always kind of provide the base chain security to layer two, but eventually all apps and Ethereum-based apps and exchanges and all those things are going to move to layer two. That's where the user experience will exist. And all of those apps will be responsible for committing to the base layer chain to maintain that ledger or that record. So yeah, these are the earliest iterations of ZK snarks, ZK proofs. Optimistic rollups is another scaling technology. And I think that most people that have been scared away from Ethereum because of gas prices, as you said, they're not really up to date with how far along Ethereum scaling actually has come. And in July, they roll out the London hard fork, if it all goes to plan. And I think that includes the first levels of optimistic rollups for scaling. So the whole network itself will scale, and then individual projects will start to move to layer two and provide that instant feeless transaction. So did that help at all?
Oh,
Yeah, no problem at all. I think I might just take a moment to plug Ethereum here, because it's truly one of the most amazing technologies that exist, and they're the way that they're programming their money, with that same hard fork in July, they introduced EIP 1559, where they actually start to burn a lot of the transaction fees that are taking place. So even though the gas will always be expensive on layer one now, because there's so much built on top of it. But over time, that will continuously be burning Ethereum permanently, from circulation. So the actual ETH supply rate will start to deflate. And then by the end of this year, maybe Q1 next year, they do the merge between ETH1 and ETH2. Right? So ETH2 is already running. It's a proof of stake chain, similar to Cardano or whatever. I think there's 5 million ETH staked over there now. And eventually the devs, the whole network, will transition where they merge the proof of stake with the proof of work chain. And at that point, you don't have miners anymore. You have validators. So new ETH issuance gets cut from 5 ETH per block to half an ETH per block. So to put that in perspective, everybody gets excited about the Bitcoin halving that happens every 4 years. For Ethereum, this is like a triple halving. So they'll triple halve the new supply rate, and they're burning the fees so that the total Ethereum supply becomes deflationary. And they're scaling the network, So in the next 12 months, I really think Ethereum continues to cement its place as the leader in this space. So it's, for us, the move there, other than being much more functional and beneficial to us in the ecosystem, from my opinion, I just think ETH has already kind of won the race as that layer protocol. So it's going to bring many more eyeballs to the project as well. Obviously, much more, it validates us as part of the NFT industry too, because most NFTs are still on Ethereum. So it's a really good move, in my opinion.
Rhys, let me hit you with a follow-up question. Does this mean that the centralized nature of VeVe is going to vanish? Like, for example, the ability to return stolen collectibles or scammed collectibles.
Yeah, I would think so. Well, it really depends on what the situation is, right? Because when everything is in VeVe, it will be managed by us still, presumably, because we've got to accommodate for the mainstream, right? So it's still better to be able to just link your name and password to a wallet or that kind of thing. Now, for people who know what crypto is, they'll have the option. If you want to send them off the app and store them elsewhere, that's fine. But obviously, at that point, it becomes your responsibility to maintain and manage the protection of those assets. I'll have to find out more about that as to what happens when it's in or out of the app. I think maybe you can just toggle it on and off so that you control your keys in the app too, or at least control the governance of your digital assets, because you would need some sort of control like that to be able to send them out anyway. You can't just send them out from your username. But yeah, I think that's probably something that we will have to consider. The good thing is that now that 2FA is in and all that stuff, there hasn't been any sort of, it just adds that layer of security that we hoped it would, so that, if someone has your email and password, they still can't get into your accounts.
Awesome. Thank you. Mark, Mike, what are your thoughts on the
What's up, guys? I finally got pushed to talk.
You know what? I might
Which
start
I'm
writing
very
notes
super
actually,
for
ready
having me again.
for segmenting
Crazy.
this.
Yeah, no, I'm just excited for the move forward. It's it's positive technology wise. Mutable seems great. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on all that stuff, but I know there's a lot more. Probably a lot more flexibility for the VeVe squad, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to hopefully one day be able to move them around and use our collectibles different places and all that stuff. So hopefully this will be the path for that.
Hey guys, sorry I joined late. Hey Rhys, thanks for accepting the invite. My builder rocked up just as it started, so I missed the start of the conversation, but you might have answered already. A lot of people are asking you about the move over to Mutable, and will there be charges for us? How will you get your GoChain tokens NFTs onto ERC 721? I don't know if that's been already asked. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So the migration of VeVe, the platform, and all of the collectibles, because they are all in our control at the moment, we will do. Right? So no individual needs to move their account or their collectibles or anything like that. I'm sure it gets way more technical, but in my mind, we pretty much just pick up VeVe from GoChain and plonk it on Immutable. And I think there's probably some confusion.
Can we just say, or can we just appreciate the fact that Rhys literally just said, can we plonk it onto Immutable?
That people think we're going to operate on both chains. We're not. We're moving chain. It will be a chain swap to move across. Now, where the user input will come is if you hold Omi tokens, because they will be moving from GoChain and Go20 to become an ERC20 token on Ethereum. Now, even that, a chain swap is pretty standard in crypto these days. There's obviously a lot of lead time and prep time, but a lot of exchanges will facilitate that now. So you'll send in your Go20 tokens and they will issue you the new ERC, the Ethereum-based one to an exchange wallet, and it's done. I imagine we will also set up a swap site similar to the wrapping Omi site, where you would send in your tokens. They would be burnt, presumably, and mint you the new ones on the Ethereum side. And then you're good to go. You can use any ERC20 wallet, which is every wallet, to store your tokens, and it would be pretty good. Now, I'll say this now, and I will say it probably every single week until it happens. There will undoubtedly be scam sites that pop up. There's still
For sure. Yeah.
VeVe scam sites. There's all of these things. So please, whenever this happens, only use our resources, use the legitimate websites, click through our stuff. Don't go just Googling it and click the first thing that pops up, because that's how people get caught out with these things. But when the migration happens, and look, it's not happening this week. That was just the announcement. We will put out literally weeks and months worth of information.
So I think we've already heard this part of the thing. I'm not sure how, but I feel like we've already covered this part. So I'm going to skip through this right now.
Weekly video they're all had recently. How long will we have to do it? As we are,
because I've literally put out a video saying, like, Rhys explains how VeVe or Omi holders can take it over to Ethereum or Immutable or whatever. So
And a swap site. Shout out to Cavell, because he said that, and I wasn't aware of the exchanges helping in that process. But Rhys, there will be some form of gas involved in this at some stage, right? So who's going to cover that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so it will depend on how it's all run more than anything. So from GoChain to the exchange, or into the swap site, as we all know, GoChain is very minimal. I'll have to find out the tech side. I'm assuming it's the exchange doing it, they'll facilitate it, or we give them a pool, I guess, to pull from. If it's a swap site, there might be a minting, like you might need gas to mint on the other side, but I'm actually not 100% sure on that. Once you're on Ethereum, if we can transition from that straight to layer 2, which I think is the case with Immutable, because they help with more than just NFTs, well, then the gas will be probably the same as what it would cost you on GoChain. It would be fractions of a cent or pretty minimal as an expense.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, because that's I did a bit of research last night, and if it's on immutable, there's basically no gas fees. But I think it's then if we want to take it off immutable at some stage, there would be some sort of fee there if we wanted to move it. I don't know, off platform or into somewhere else, like a rare room or something like that, I guess.
Yeah, you're talking about the collectibles themselves, right? Not the Omi token.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, eventually everything moves to layer 2.
Bro, I don't know how Carl deals with the notifications. I'm on DND for the entire time, all the time, because hearing the dit from Discord would drive me crazy.
All of these apps move to layer 2, and so everything becomes this kind of gasless, feeless, transactional ecosystem. Where it would cost you, right now, if you want to move from layer 1 to layer 2 for an exchange or something, you pay a gas fee to move your tokens to layer 2, and once you're there, it's pretty well free to move around. It would depend as to where you are moving your collectibles. If you wanted to move them back to layer 1 for some reason, but there won't really be a need to in the next few months, right? OpenSea and those marketplaces will all open layer 2 capabilities as well. Arbitrum is another one integrating layer 2. I think they're due to launch in the next couple of weeks as an exchange infrastructure. So, before long and realistically, probably by the time the migration has fully taken place, I don't think there's going to be a need to send your collectibles back to layer 1 for any particular reason. Anything
for sure. Yeah. That's what Vitalik said, wasn't he? He was like, pretty much, the whole Ethereum ecosystem will likely be on rollups, which that's what immutable is.
Correct.
In the near to midterm future.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I think that happens sooner than many people think. And fundamentally, like, projects that don't move to layer 2 are going to fall behind. So it's in everybody's best interest to make that transition as well.
That's good. So it's going to become meta, essentially.
Comes, but supposedly that's not going to happen for years. So
So I touched on this earlier, and I'll touch on it again. ETH2 is already live. It's already running. It's been live since December last year, the proof of stake chain. And then it's slated, they're saying the end of this year, but let's say by March next year, just to be a bit more conservative, the merge will happen. So that happens between ETH1 and ETH2. But I think a lot of people are confusing that with ETH scaling, because ETH is scaling in the next few months, right? So coming with the London hard fork in July, they start to roll out some of their optimism upgrades, which will help the whole network scale in the meantime. It's not like they've just left ETH1 behind to try and work towards ETH2. They're still scaling and building ETH1 in the meantime before the merge happens. And then when the merge happens, the main transition is that you're just removing the miners. So then the whole network becomes much more energy efficient. Stakers obviously get paid out for validating, that kind of thing. But in the short term and in the meantime, ETH will continue to scale along with everything else. And that's why all these projects are moving to layer 2. So if you, I don't know if you guys have ever played Gods Unchained on Immutable.
No,
I have not, but I was looking at their website and it looked really fun, and I like the idea that you can earn cards. And just the kind of video I saw on their main website, I thought it looked actually very fun, and kind of envisioned maybe something that hopefully we'd like to see on VeVe as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting development. I haven't really thought about it down that line, but the point I was going to make was, I played Gods Unchained 2.5 years ago, before ETH got like crazy congested. It was probably in the bear market, and it worked really well, right? And as an on-chain game, which I think that a lot of people don't quite comprehend what is taking place there for every move you make or every card you own and all those things. You're not just owning.
And actually, Cavell and I, we might be playing some of that stuff together. We spoke about it on Twitter, so if you don't follow us on Twitter, at Cavell Anderson and at ZakiZoo, I'll be putting, well, the link's always in the description anyway, but yeah, we're going to be playing some games together on this new thing, this Unchained thing, whatever.
the assets, it's committing that information to and from the chain constantly and that kind of thing, right? Or maybe the game operates offline, but the assets do. But regardless, it got to a point where you wanted to buy a card worth $3 or $4, but it would cost you $15 or $20 in gas. So it just became unusable for that kind of thing, and the same as what most people have seen for gas on the base layer chain. And that's where Immutable X started, right? Originally, Gods Unchained and the guys that built it, they were the only ones that figured out how to maximize the block space on layer 1, which allowed the game to run a few years ago, and then even they got stopped out by the congestion. And that's how they went about building layer 2 and the necessity for it, so that this game could run efficiently. So they haven't just kind of moved to layer 2, they've innovated to get there. And now their game, I think they can do 9,000 trades per second or something like that. And that's assets moving between owners too, right? Not just ETH or not just a token moving. It's an actual, register of ownership that's happening at that speed, which is pretty incredible as well.
So what you're saying is we'll have our mint collectibles on the drop, within 30 seconds? I'm just joking.
That's a good question, actually. That's probably more of a technical question, and that depends on our tech stack, I think, more so than the speed of the underlying chain. But I'll have to find that out closer to migration.
All right. I'm getting a lot of questions in my DMs. Basically, people are really curious if there's any plans to deal with botters and scripters for tomorrow's drop. I know you guys talk about this almost every drop, but maybe you can give us a little information.
Yeah, I can't give you too much information because otherwise we give away the ways we're dealing with it. But Dan did mention it recently.
What Thomas has posted?
That there are new implementations there to try and cut those things out. So,
11 hours ago,
yeah,
crikey.
I guess we'll find out if it works.
That's why I can't be up for these things. Like, this stuff is they'll do something at 2:30, they'll do something at 5 a.m, they'll do something at midday, they'll do something at 2 p.m. I'm like, I can't be up all day, all hours of the day.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I got another question from the crowd. They're just curious, who makes the final mint number decisions?
Who what?
Ben and David have
final mint number decisions.
Mint number decisions.
Ben and David have very friendly and candid discussions about it on a weekly basis. It's up to them, right? It obviously they take a bit of lead from the licensors as to, I think Dan mentioned this last week in our clubhouse, which ones are the more popular ones and that kind of thing. But it comes down to popularity. It comes down to what they kind of give us. It comes down to David's knowledge of the industry. A whole range of things, I think. But they're the guys that make the final decision for sure.
All right, this one's just I guess more of a fun question. How many sets do you have, Rhys? And can we do we know your handle? Is that or is that top secret?
Top secret. No, I haven't given it out at the moment. Not for any particular reason, really. I don't know if it's just a thing. How many sets?
That's more than me.
Things.
I'm gonna skip past this because whilst it is kind of interesting to the people who really care, a lot of people. This is we're gonna look at. Well, I want to go through the really important information. All right, that's what I'm gonna say.
Anyway, so I'm much more inclined to buy the things.
Yeah, I out the window, big drop.
They've converted like a bot option inside the Omi channel. So if you do !dev_trev, it pops up.
Through.
You see.
All right, we gotta skip through this.
Last 5 years, cook for 30 people a day, 4 days a week. All of this, and now I have 30 or 40 hours a week back in my life. So I Telegram because it's.
Kind of dishes were your specialty for cooking?
As long as there's lots of it. So I do a lot of seafood. I like things like that.
I mean, yeah. Come on, I got things to do today.
Just to piggyback off of that, do you what do you do in your extracurricular activities? Do you this?
Okay. We got an advert, I'm guessing. No? Okay.
Welcomed 5 or 6 new devs.
Okay.
On that front.
Actual information.
Actually rolling out. So don't hold your breath too much on that front. Obviously, it's being built, and you guys would have seen in last week's weekly wrap up that in the last month we've welcomed 5 or 6 new devs, and they're coming up to speed now. So we actually have some capacity to start to roll out these new developments with all the optimizations behind us now, or close enough to being behind us. So everything like that is back on the table. The accessories should roll out sooner than later in the showrooms. I know Trevor's been busy redesigning the way that they function as well, just to make them look so much more amazing, because
that's exciting.
As we all know, they're just kind of a box floating in the sky at the moment. So we'll start to see a lot more app features roll out just to make the experience more enjoyable. But I think the Master Collector's still a little ways off yet.
Nice. Thank you for your candor as always. Appreciate that. When you say accessories, what accessories do you mean? I might, maybe I'm missing something there. What accessories are going to come?
So right now in your showroom, you can place your collectibles where you want, scale them up, those kind of things. But we want you to be able to show them off and get creative as you choose to, right? So we're talking like different bases and stands and plinths, shelving that will be available, so you can start to really customize the space instead of it just kind of being 4 walls. Now, before long, there will be branded accessories as well. I think it's in one of our early demo videos. I know you'll see the shelving there, and I've seen it on David Yu's Instagram, but there will be branded things like for the DeLorean, you can actually buy or collect the curbside scene, so you can park your DeLorean up on the curb, and it has kind of like trees or house or things like that. So depending on the license and the brand, there'll be accessories that you can use to customize your showroom that might be, they might pertain to that brand itself, or they'll be your standard kind of bases and plinths. Eventually, you'll be able to add pot plants and couches and maybe a TV screen to your showroom, and that will show your, like if we do something like moments or something like that. So
that's cool.
You can explore someone's showroom. This is down the line, by the way. This isn't next week, but you might walk into someone's showroom and be able to sit on their couch and see the collectibles they own kind of flash through a screen or something like that within your showrooms too. So that's kind of where that takes us, right? Because the whole idea of the showroom, other than showing off your collections, is to allow you to build and customize your very own digital space.
So this right here is very Sims-like, it sounds like, in a way.
We want to try and facilitate that with as many amazing features as we can.
Very, very cool. And one last one. Are those paid accessories, or are they going to just be like accessories you can kind of choose from?
I think it'll be both, is my guess.
I think they'll be paid. There might be other ways to get them. But I will have to find out. Now, when we're talking, it's not like you're going to be buying them like they are collectibles. Like there might be like 250,000 stands or plinths or shelves or something like that. So if they are paid, they'll be very reasonably priced. But I'll have to confirm that. I'm pretty sure they'll be paid.
No doubt. Thank you very much, Rhys. I appreciate it. I'll pass the mic to
Pardon me.
else if they have a question for you.
I've literally just been like waking up, and then like I'll get an email that something's monetized, or like I get DMs that like something crazy happened with Ecomi or Valorant. And I'm tired.
And also, guys, like continue your discussion. I know you started this not wanting to pepper me with questions, so if you want amongst yourselves.
Whoops! No! Hold up. I pressed 0 rather than the forward arrow.
In black and white line stuff as well, but no, I haven't got that.
Trying to snipe a good one, and I think I placed a bid by accident, but that's okay, because I think long term, I think that Batman specifically, will go up in value. So I'm not too worried about that one.
Yeah, it's also it was one of the best-selling physical statues out of the Batman in black and white line. I don't know if it's for the same reasons that we all want that by Batman, but it's I find that interesting too. That it ended up being kind of one of the more successful models. So
yeah,
right now I think it's important to remember that like we really haven't accessed the fan bases of a lot of these things. Obviously, we all come in
And
from
we're going to talk about this a bit later, but I noticed that Val retweeted someone finding, maybe it was either him or someone else finding the fact that VeVe are now putting ads on Instagram, which also means that likelihood is they're also putting ads on Facebook, which is huge, but we're going to go over that in a really important video today, I think.
However, we found the project and we are fans of certain brands and collectibles, but if you're saying that, you know, this particular physical sculpture was one of the most popular, well, there's going to be a lot of Batman fans out there that are aware of it that probably don't own the physical version. And this can be their chance to express that fandom by collecting one of these things. So, yeah. And of course, you add to that it's ultra rare and all those kind of things. And it has the meme value, right? Which memes just drive the internet.
100%.
So there's a lot of considerations there. Now that you're saying that, I'm literally going through the market. Like, maybe I'll pick one up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do expect that long term, just with the obviously the meme economy, but like you're saying, just the collector perspective, and once we really tap into that, I really think those are going to be scooped up, long term. So just like you were saying, I plan on holding these collectibles for many years, and just collecting brands I know and love. So
yeah, absolutely. And we've said this many times, you know, once that mentality changes, and I think it's starting to change now, around, you know, maybe, just collecting the things you want, it spreads the load out a little bit. A lot of people think that we've somehow failed because we want collectibles to be in the store, you know, but if you walked into a hobby shop or something and the shelves were just bare every time you walked in there, you'd stop going in there.
Literally.
So the whole
I saw someone say, you know, why is it not sold out, etc. And I'm like, do you want it to be sold out? Like, if it's sold out, no one else can buy anything. Like, what does that happen? When they're starting to market things, which they clearly are through Instagram and stuff, you know, people need to be able to enjoy it when they open the app. It's not just about selling everything out straight away. Like, I'm not sure where that mindset's come from. I don't know.
Here is that we want items available in the store so that when we do announce these licenses and brands and new people come and download the app and check it out, well, there's something there that they can actually buy and then explore the AR and explore the
because the
showrooms.
alternative is that everything will be sold out, then the resale market will obviously be exploding. But it also means then that new people aren't going to be able to get anything for the recommended retail price. It's all going to be going for 10x what what the RRP is. And at that point, most people who are generally casual users aren't going to want to pay $1,000 or $100 or whatever it is for something that they could have paid $30 for or $50 for. Because
that fundamentally is what keeps you coming back to the app too, right? It's the experience, not just the ownership. So I think what we saw last week, we've tweaked the numbers again this week, just a little bit, but same deal. You know, there will be purchase limits on everything. The commons and uncommons are usually the ones that will be the ones that have higher edition numbers, with the intention that there's actually some content available for new users. So.
Hey, Rhys. A question that comes up quite a bit is when we do bring out Omi to Gem option, with regards to the free Fortnite issue, what happened there, where Fortnite let their users buy basically their coin outside the app. There's the law case now in Australia, our little country, with Google and Apple about it. So there's a concern that there's going to be potential issues there when you guys do that. Has that been brought up? Is there any sort of words you can give about that?
Yeah, very valid concern. The Apple overlords don't like missing their cut on anything. So it's definitely something that is under review at the moment. We're building out the web platform, which will, I guess, similar to Fortnite, help us kind of get around that. Because once it's there is no risk of deplatforming or anything, right? That's our own thing. And I think that's actually closer than many of us would expect. I think maybe end of next month, let's say the one after, just to be safe. We're talking the very first iteration of that, right? It might not have the feed, it might not be fully featured, but at least it kind of takes a bit of the pressure off if there's that availability, and that opens us up to probably, twice the size of our current audience, because there's a lot of people that that can't access it, or depending on their phones and all those things. So I think that's a really good thing that's in the works for us. So yeah, it's definitely something we're aware of. It's also, we're reviewing the whole system to try and figure out the best balance between those things. Obviously, returning the utility to the token is our number one priority at the moment. But it is a consideration that we have been discussing many, many times internally, and trying to figure out the best way to bring that forward so that everybody can use their tokens again.
Just on that point, I just wanted to ask. So I know you guys have quite a large team, including advisors. With regards to the whole kind of legal issue around Apple and the App Store fees, is there someone specifically on your team, in terms of someone who's experienced in this area? Is there someone advising you on how to proceed? Just because it would be quite interesting to kind of, I guess, learn a little bit more about your.
That's not a bad
kind of
question.
Non-community facing team.
Yeah. I don't know if it's one of the advisors specifically. They all sort of operate in their own realms of technology and things, and I don't know that any of those are specific to an app store and the way they function. But we have a whole legal team that we've always had from the start. So anything that we do or put out, or any moves we make on that front, obviously go through all of that sort of due diligence before it happens, which is also why some of these things take longer than expected. And we're not our licensors aren't the only ones doing their due diligence. We have to do it on every move we make. So yeah, I think those things come through from them.
That's going to be
annoying.
annoying.
And like assigned case managers from Apple and Google now anyway, because of the success of the app so far. So we are in direct contact with people on those fronts that can help us to kind of build this system in. But you kind of have to play. You have to play to their rules, basically. Android doesn't care at all, right? Like you can do anything on Android. There's no real crazy oversight. It's more when it comes to the Apple App Store that the issues arise. So
surprise.
We just don't want to get into a situation where we're rolling out features on Android and not on Apple, because we don't want to cut out that market sector, and it's not fair to say to people, well, go get an Android phone. Like that's something we're avidly trying to avoid as well. And as I just said, the web platform will really help to service those needs too. So.
Rhys, they blocked Fortnite on Android as well. I believe it's against Android too. So
yeah, oh, that's good to know. Yeah, I haven't really kept up to date. Hey, I'm just seeing, is this chat capped at 99 members or something, guys? Is there a way to let more people in?
I was actually wondering if it had something to do with the Nitro boost, maybe.
Is that something I can do? I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, that's not. I actually tried to get into this, and even at like 7 or 85 maybe people, it still said chat's full. I'm like, what?
But I'm trying really hard to fix it. I don't really.
And I couldn't.
With eToro's copy track.
I could be wrong. Maybe it is a technical error. Also, I am recording, so might miss it.
It says here 99 people can enter.
Quite a.
We're on.
Well,
we're just skipping through this.
2 minutes. Does anyone know what that is?
There might just be.
Okay. All right. No worries.
Who created the clubhouse for this evening?
Okay, sweet. So this is just a question that I've had asked by my followers, because I've voiced how I believe that the cloaked items may be in relation to the Master Collector, but Chef Dizzy just touched on that, and you answered that this isn't the case. In the future, will sets potentially have influence on the Master Collector? Like, will there be specific collectibles which are relative to completed sets, like for that brand?
You mean, will you have to be a specific Master Collector to get like the fourth one of a set or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. So instead of just being only just the sets, because there are some people who will just buy every set, but like there'll be people who are fans of like DC or Harlequin, and they might be a Master Collector in their own realm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think it will run in a manner that cuts people out from specific collectibles. But being completing your sets on the way obviously gains you XP points, for lack of a better term, which levels up your master collector ranking. And then there will be some things that master collectors in general, some advantages, like maybe 10-second early access to a drop or something like that. But it also lets us see if you are a Batman master collector, right? Or you're obviously a massive Batman fan. Then we can reward you with maybe early access to the Batman drops instead of to all drops, or specific accessories for your showroom or things like that. Might also mean at location-based events, if you're a master collector, there might be some benefits there. Maybe you can access the gold foil version of something instead of the silver or something like that. But I don't think it will be in a manner that only lets those collectors complete a set, if that makes sense.
Okay, thanks for answering. I do have a concern about early access for master collectors, since 10 seconds early, and if there's quite a few master collectors, I could see a set selling out to the master collectors only. Will you slowly trickle in people who aren't from master collector?
It would be more, you might get 10-second early access, but you can only buy one of each collectible or something like that. Like there would be a cap on that limit. So it's not, massively creating an unfair advantage for those master collectors, but that's just one example of how we might go about rewarding those master collectors. There will obviously be plenty of other things built into it as well. So yeah, it wouldn't just be like, all the master collectors get to buy everything and nobody else gets to buy anything, but there has to be some incentive there as well to want to level up your collector ranking. And obviously with these collectibles having whatever value they stand to have, like that's a pretty good incentive.
I had a thought regarding the points that were supposedly associated with the master collector, and I just wanted to kind of toss that at you and see like what your thoughts were on it. My thoughts were like, what if, like, how we earn points in the gamification aspect of things and towards master collector points? What if we used those master collector points as like tokens to gain the early access? So you had to save those up, and then if you wanted in early on a Batman drop, then it's going to cost you like 100 master collector points or something like that. It was just a playful idea.
Yeah. I quite like that. I do like that, and that could be an iteration at some point.
Sorry, could I add to that?
Yeah, go.
It would be really cool if it was like a badge, and the badge was like an NFT that was visible in like augmented reality. I'm just thinking about into the future, and then you could sell that badge for a specific amount of money, and then people could use that badge in return to join these early access. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you sell the rights to someone else to have early access to a particular video thing. Yeah,
and it's also
a big person could just buy their way into the master collector.
Yeah, you could buy your way in. You would also have to create it if it was an NFT. It can't just have the same utility for every person, right? Like, I guess the idea would be like, if it was a system where you spent your master collector points or you earned that badge and then you used it specifically, I would think that would be the one and only utility of that badge. Now, if you went through the process and earned it and then you decided, well, I don't want that, whatever that's providing, and you chose to sell it, cool, and then the next person could use it for the same thing. But yeah, I think anything like that is probably quite a ways down the line before it becomes a real possibility in the app.
Right, and I think that we should, kind of remember that when people bring up the discussion about the master collector program, that it's quite a ways off, like you said, still, and nothing's concrete about it yet.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dan and Dave definitely have some concrete ideas, and they're
right.
But yeah, the first iterations, any badges and things will be more of a symbol, right? A bragging rights. I collected this set, or I have this many from sort of badge or indicator as well that you can wear around or add to your showrooms. I think you'll be able to use them like that, or show them off on your profile at the very least within the app. And then we'll continue to build it out, right? Because yeah, that's just an extra layer of fun that we can we can keep designing in. I really do like the idea of spending the collector points. I think that's cool. But it would come down to how you earned them in the first place as well.
There was
May I just add one more point? Sorry, could I just add one more point, please?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So I'm personally really excited about the Master Collector program. As it says, like in my name, VeVe Flipper, I started off flipping the collectibles. I started off with like $300 and worked my way up. Now I have quite a collection, and I'm heavily invested and actually love collecting now. And I sort of push that to my followers.
Yeah.
Master Collector, the idea of it and the concept and the way I've seen VeVe playing out, it's sort of taught me a lot about collectibles and how to collect, and inspired me and helped me meet a lot of people, and a lot of people who follow me. Like I've been voicing like just sort of playful thoughts about what the Master Collector could be, and it's actually inspired a lot of other people to collect. So I was just sort of touching on that. I do believe that like prestiges will definitely inspire people to be more active in staying on the platform rather than sort of just flipping the collectibles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and first of all, man, I'm so stoked to hear that that's the journey you've been on with VeVe. That's kind of what we hoped when we started building this, that it would inspire people. I see a lot of people now buying the physical counterparts to their digital collectibles. I think that's pretty incredible as well. But you're right, it is a prestige thing. Being a master collector is something to work towards. And we have to make that as equitable as possible, rather than just being, well, I've got a lot of money so I can buy a lot of collectibles and get there. You want it to be as open a system as possible and make it worthwhile for people once they level up those collector rankings, which is definitely part of the thinking behind it, and part of the motivation for getting something like that out there. So yeah, I'm super excited about it too. As you said, I think it will, it is literally an app retention thing, right? It keeps people coming back to the app if they see the value in it too. And if that value has some financial incentive at the end of it, obviously it's more motivating for more people as well. So it's
thank you very much for answering. Pretty motivating getting to speak to you. I never thought I'd get to speak to you, and this sort of journey that I've made building my socials, I sort of always intended to be able to reach out and ask a few questions about the devs. So this has been great. Thank you. I'll let you guys continue on with the conversation.
No worries, man. You're so welcome. Thanks for all the kind words.
Rhys, I've got a question that kind of popped into my mind. Something that I spoke about a little while ago, and it kind of just remembered the question itself, because there was that guy who sent myself and yourself a photo of himself sat on a toilet with the dad bod Batman. And yeah. Yeah, so basically the question I had was, we know that the feed is like an integral part of kind of sharing your experiences with these collectibles with the community. Now, I'm just wondering, like, from I guess the legal consultation perspective, obviously we don't want people abusing the feed, but you will get people who you've described as bad actors, and there was essentially an experiment done where someone they basically made a text editor public so people could add their own pictures to it, and there was like pornography and all sorts of stuff being added. So with collectibles, if you can start adding pictures to the feed of yourself with the collectibles in real life, that kind of thing, people start abusing that and post things that are inappropriate. Could that has that kind of been thought about? Could that affect the people who just want to use the feed for good intentions? Obviously the guy sat on the toilet with the dad bod Batman, he sent that like personally, and it's not that bad or anything, but there can be more explicit things.
That was probably the 10th Batman on a toilet photo that I've received. So it just makes me
How do I sign up for a toilet bathroom?
Yeah, it's coming in Series 6 actually.
The fact that people are thinking about you, Rhys, while they're on the toilet
Yeah,
is disturbing.
I'll take it. That's fine. It's absolutely been thought of. Yeah, look, there is an age restriction on the app. I think it's 13 or something like that, or it was when we first launched. With that in mind, there are profanity filters already in the feed. that help us cut down on some of those things. But to my knowledge, at least right now, yeah, we just have mods that are keeping a very close eye on these things, and can pretty quickly close those things down. Now, off the app, yeah, people are going to take stupid photos. Some of them are going to be funny, but like obviously inappropriate. So yeah, at the moment, it's something that we're pretty hands-on with. I'm sure we'll continue to build in ways that can kind of detect anything inappropriate as we move forward. But as you said, we don't want that to ruin the experience for people. The beauty of this ecosystem is that like all of you guys have our best interests and the app's best interests in mind as well. So if anyone ever sees anything inappropriate, it gets to us pretty quickly. So it lets us kind of cut down. We need to sort of rely on parenting these things if they're giving it to their kids and stuff as we go as well.
I'm skipping because I feel like we got the point,
Have a certain amount of rank could maybe also be like pseudo mods to like report stuff.
Yeah. And look, that might come to, the more if we know that you're like that to, almost like community mods, but in the app as well. That could be a potential development.
You guys mind if I jump in for a second?
Please do.
Okay, cool. So first off, Rhys, man, it's a pleasure, man. As someone who never collected outside of baseball cards and stuff, just to be a part and see and watch what y'all have going on in this community.
Love these messages, but I gotta skip through because I'm trying to get to the information.
I look and I see in the chat and people that we can't stop showing people our collections and stuff like that, and girls too. And the thing that I find fascinating about it into the app, and we all know we got something special going on. I know you guys feel it, and it's a worldwide thing. This isn't it's the same way about this app as we do, and equally as strong as we do. So, going forward in the future, knowing that.
I think we lost you after knowing that.
Yeah, I'm on the edge here.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So with you guys knowing that, being that there's so many amazing people that are drawn into this community and into this collecting space, and it's not just the thing about finances. It's taking us back to childhoods, and everybody's waiting on the next licenses and all of that. So knowing that, could we expect, like I live in the United States. So in the United States, we all have our own Independence Days and our own holidays. And then we have
we lost you.
Be cultural drops for specific areas and regions and specific holidays, or is it kind of geared in the beginning as a whole mass thing and pull everybody together, and then later on start making it its own thing? Because I'm pretty sure that this is just going to go where the people kind of take it, like Trevor was speaking on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will be the latter. At the moment, we're trying to reach the largest audiences we can and fan bases. But yeah, absolutely. We've talked about, we can do like some Halloween type drops or some Christmas drops or things like that, depending on what's available to us, obviously from the licensors, but maybe we can have different kind of themed accessories or things like that. Maybe around Christmas time, you can add some Christmas lights and trees and decorations to your showrooms and things like that too. So we can really make it a seasonable, a seasonable feature, I guess, is probably the best way to put that. So yeah, I think it's definitely on the cards. We've discussed it for sure, but it's not at the moment. We're trying to get the initial impact and attract the users, and then we'll branch into more specific things like that too.
Are some of the
for blind bag.
Are some of the features contingent on the being on the Mutable X? I know obviously maybe some of that is, but as far as maybe like gamification and things like that, is just like some of those features kind of contingent upon being on that platform?
No, not necessarily. Being on Immutable allows you to use your collectibles to greater effect, right? You can use them on other marketplaces and anything that, if we're opening interoperability, anything using the same standard has the potential to integrate with our collectibles. The features and those kind of things are more a part of our tech stack and the way that we design the app and build things in, and then it sits on top of the chain.
Oh. Well, that's a cool background, but
I don't know, my Discord just decided to close on me.
I think everybody's...
Yeah, that...
Technical difficulties.
Snapped his fingers and half the Discord vanished.
Yeah, I'm getting that too.
It just happened to me again. Do we know what's going on here? No gods on this one. I don't know where we got to there.
Yeah, they're really hating.
Yeah. No, those features, the point I was making was the features and things we're rolling out are more part of our back-end design and tech stack. And then we sit on top of the chain. So yeah, that really just secures the assets more than influences the design of the features and capabilities.
In the recent past, we had scalability issues with the app. And, we heard you guys mention before that you weren't quite confident that the app could handle a mass adoption. And marketing and promotion was being held off until, your confidence, I guess, within the app's performance could handle that kind of thing. Where do you think we are sitting now in that scale of things?
Pretty good. Yeah. Most of I'm sure you guys have noticed week on week, the drops have just performed better and better. The devs aren't really taking the back end down very often these days, but whenever they do, the speed of the app in general seems to increase exponentially. I think some of our devs are just working full time on scaling now as well, and making sure that moving forward as we do adopt new users, that the app can keep up with that. So no, I mean, fundamentally, we're in the best position we've been in this entire time. And I think that we are confident that the app will handle.
I'm going to start skipping through a little bit more because I realized that we're less than halfway through and I got loads of stuff to do today. So
comfortably from here. So, and then we'll, the scaling thing is an ongoing thing, right? It's not like we just got to this point now and now we've scaled up to what we do. But thanks to all the refactoring and re-engineering of the app and all the systems, those updates are much easier to make now. So we can, scale out on the fly if we need to. And to, the app in its current iteration is just much more user-friendly and much more optimized to handle larger user bases.
So with that being said, when do you think that we could start expecting to see promotional material and marketing stuff roll out?
We already seen it. Well, to a certain extent.
It's starting. It's definitely starting. So we put on Rand and Cohen. Well, we announced them at the start of May. So that's just been 4 weeks. Now their main job is they help us craft our press releases and things like that. And they obviously have all of the industry connections in all the different areas to start putting that media out. So that Ron English press release, we obviously just saw go out in a very specific collectors publication. So there'll be a few more of those. So each license and brand we announce now will be targeted at the audiences and fan bases that will actually care about it more than anything.
That's huge.
And start to bring that in. And then we have a separate media company that will handle the more specific user acquisition. So where Brandon Cohen handles putting our name out there and the awareness.
Right.
The media company handles all the advertising.
That makes sense.
Pinpointing of lookalike audiences and specific users, and
that makes a lot of sense. So that's when he's saying lookalike audiences. For those of you who don't work in marketing, maybe digital marketing, that's huge because that tells me that they're actually starting to put the targeted ads out there for online platforms like Insta, Facebook, Google, YouTube, which we've already seen, to be fair. But if they're using Google, Facebook, etc., that means targeted ads, which likely means that this is going, like you said, towards the actual fan bases of the IPs that they're announcing, which is absolutely huge. Because that's essentially, and I'll make a whole video about this at some point, but that's essentially what we're looking for as far as targeted and realistically effective advertising for consumers and acquisition.
So the wheels are definitely turning at the moment, and we're definitely coming to that point. Couple more weeks. And
that also gets a bit expensive
as well.
That gets expensive.
You would have seen, or maybe would have seen, I only just put it out. Dan was just in a panel with Kevin Smith from, most people might know him from Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, most of our heads exploded when we saw that.
Yeah, right. So that was put on.
We made a video about this.
Octagon,
obviously.
who is actually the parent company of Rand and Cohen.
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
So Dan got the spot there. So they're the kind of engagements and things we're going to start seeing. I know we have quite a lot of news spots and segments and things like that you'll see Dan's preface on as well in the next few months. So yeah, we're at that point now, right? This is the priority was always optimize the app and make sure that it can handle it. And now we can start having some fun.
So
Yeah, I'm
guess that Silent Bob NFT is coming soon.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob.
I would be all about it, but no, there's no guarantees there yet. Hopefully they connect after that conference. Kevin was that was put on by Octagon, not by us, so I don't know what conversations have taken place there. But it would be cool.
It seems like he's kind of a collector. I saw him. I tuned into the latest Hasbro event recently, and he was on with Jay, the guy that plays Jay, and it was him and Jay, and they presented the Transformers crazy.
That's cool.
Collectible toy that morphs into a Transformer at a push of a button. And
true. Yeah, I think they are absolutely ingratiated in the space, because people know him from Jay and Silent Bob, but he obviously has a very illustrious career as a writer and a creator and all those things. And I think he's quite an avid collector. So yeah,
is that this little P and K relationship? Does that kind of open doors for you guys? You said connections, without revealing obviously any details. Obviously, is that present more opportunities for you guys? And kind of bringing in other brands, maybe even potentially, certain names to the VeVe app?
Yep, absolutely it does. Yeah, any of those connections open opportunities for us. It also validates us, right? If they're representing, if something comes across their desk or whatever, and they see that we're already working together, it gives say celebrities or whatever, a big vote of confidence in what's going on for us too, right? Because Rand and Cohen obviously don't just take on anybody as a client. Without revealing too much, absolutely, it opens opportunities.
Now, could you maybe speak a little bit to just reiterating that, I remember I think it was a week or two ago, you were saying that we've kind of, actually, I think it was on with the VeVe Wiki guy, Mike and Mark, and on their Clubhouse, you're saying that we've kind of cornered, VeVe has kind of cornered the market. And I've just been kind of seeing people talk about other kind of maybe apps or people. And do you still feel the same way, or could you you feel that we still have the market?
We've been using that quote every day. Go ahead, Rhys.
Yeah, absolutely, I do. I think, let's just talk about it. The last ones I've seen were Epic Prime, Epic GG. Anyone, have you guys seen people talking about that?
Is that one they were at Licensing International by chance, or is that the same?
It just popped up in Telegram the other day. People were saying, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not see that.
Yeah, Epic.gg. They're also on Immutable X as well. I noticed their name popped up, so I've been getting sent that. It's like collectibles, but they're targeting more like getting a IP into kind of games. So they kind of design games for licensors and get that kind of in there, along with the collectible side.
Yeah. I think they are actually. They might be building games now. I haven't looked that much, but they're also more of a broker than a platform designer or builder, right? So they help to connect brands to platforms like us, that are distributing collectibles, or
Need to look into this,
if they're going down the
definitely.
gaming route, that kind of thing. So I would say that no, I don't think they're competition. I think we're operating in different spaces, and if anything, it stands to be beneficial to us as opposed to a negative. Yeah. Look, I'm a bit firm believer that we're so early in this space and in this industry, like I absolutely believe we've cornered the market, and at the moment are coming out pretty clear winners. But that's not to talk down other projects or other, the things that other people are doing. Obviously, everybody's working hard at what they believe is going to be successful. So look, if people want to go and try it out and test it out, and if they come to the same conclusion, well, cool, then you come on back to VeVe, and it sounds like everybody probably will come to the same conclusion. But yeah, I don't want us as a company or as a brand or a community to just get into shouting matches with other companies, because everybody's working hard for these things. So yeah, but in saying that, shout out community.
Hey, quick question, Rhys.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so a couple of videos back, we heard Dan talk about collectibles and having accessories added to them later in the future. And a video he did a year ago where you was interviewing him, which was the first one that I actually saw, he spoke on it briefly. And I kind of wanted to touch and ask on that. These accessories, like the Superman cape or a different accessory, Batman, a Batarang or something like this, will these be a series specific thing, or do y'all have the ability to add them to existing collectibles that we have? Like I'll Ritmo end up with a gold chain or something like that. I mean, just something silly. Is it specific?
Yeah. I don't think it'll be like a release like we drop the collectibles, because there'll be accessories. Like when the accessories start to roll out, it'll be a separate part of the store. Right. I think there's somewhere in the app, I've seen some images floating around where you can already kind of see that they're coming. But you might go to the VeVe store and it'll have collectibles and accessories as a separate option, and then you can scroll through those. I dare say the market will eventually filter to be exactly the same, so you can look through different accessories for different things. So as an example, you all know we have General Motors as a license, right? So at some point we'll be releasing some of their concept cars and vehicles and things like that. But you might be able to collect the car, and then you might have an option to collect 5 different rims for that car, and you can swap those out, or a different paint job, or things like that, So those all fall under the umbrella of accessories as well, same as like a different sword or a different cape or things like that. So I imagine they'll list as accessories. Now there's undoubtedly going to be some that are more sought after than others. So maybe they get released as a thing, or maybe you buy the collectible and it comes with that accessory, and then it's up to you if you want to sell it on in the market and stimulate that economy there. So does that give you a bit more insight into that front?
Yeah, I'm stoked, man. Appreciate that.
No worries, man.
Just to chime in on that, I was having a look at Immutable X's GitHub, and one of the advantages that they promote is they make it possible to have things like child NFTs, so essentially an NFT tied to another one, in this case an accessory. So they've kind of streamlined that process as well. So I guess from the development perspective, it should be easier for the VeVe devs to kind of develop and maintain that aspect as well.
Absolutely. And look, like we've said, Immutable is purpose built for NFTs. So I guess that's one of their main features on that. Which, yeah, I think other people, if you know more about NFTs, would know them as composables. I think it was ERC 1155 was the standard, whereas the collectibles would be a ERC 721. But that would be, you add the sword or the cape, and then it's, as you just said, Kay, it's owned by that collectible, and then you can sell the whole thing on, or maybe you can break it down again and sell the individual parts, or swap them out between your collectibles, things like that. So this whole thing, like, we're so early in VeVe, but we're so early in the development of this technology and the metaverse and all of the implications and integrations that it stands to become. So it's, we're all on this journey for quite a while, I would think.
Reese, the most interesting part for me, this is Chad from NFT Pirates. So, and I've been a physical collector for a long time, is just seeing how much of an easy sell it is for non-collectors, and much of an easier sell for the actual collectors as well, right? So I've been, telling people about crypto. I've been telling people about other NFT platforms, and with VeVe, it seems within 10 minutes people get it and they're logged in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have a crypto conversation with people sometimes, and their eyes just glaze over. But if you can just show them a collectible, and they don't need wallets, or they don't need to understand blockchain, they don't need to do any of that auxiliary stuff that we've all learnt and kind of take as as our dues these days. It just brings people into the ecosystem so much quicker than trying to onboard them to, say, a nifty gateway or something like that, and that's been, we knew it from the start, right? We've been building this for 3.5 years now, and the ideas have been in the works for longer, but that was the number one. If we were going to access mainstream brands and licenses and try to bring them into the digital collectibles ecosystem, it had to be as easy to use and familiar as possible. And I think that's a huge advantage that we already have. And it's a big part of the reason we've seen the success that we have. As you just said, within a few minutes, we can bring people into this ecosystem and they understand it. And we don't have to go through a huge learning curve there.
Exactly. And this is actually a pretty funny point. My mom has been watching our YouTube channel. She gave me a call, and now she's got a few Nightwings, and I think she's the only mom in the world with a Rizzo.
Nice. Shut up, Mom. That's so good.
Yeah,
That's a boss mom right there.
Yeah, what an OG mom.
Yeah, I told her, I said, just hold on to that for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Does your mom collect anything else, or is that's just
yeah, so it started as a huge family of collecting. So everything from every Pokemon card from the first base set to Yu-Gi-Oh, to teapots to snow globes. I mean, we're just hoarders here in this house. So I grew up with a very obsessive personality.
Yeah, right. That's incredible. Yeah, fun fact, I still have the whole base set of Pokemon cards at home. They're not in mint condition by any means, but there's a really nice bit of nostalgia there whenever I see them.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm a little jealous. My mom took my whole collection. I had a huge binder full of them, and even the cards you could collect at you would go see the movie, and they'd give you this like special edition giant card. Anyways, my mom gave them away to my cousin, and I think he lost them. So I'm a little sad for that.
That's very fair. That's very fair. Yeah, mine are still in a binder as well. One of those old card, you stick them in the plastic sleeve and it's probably split all over the place. But yeah, gave them to my younger siblings as I don't know, maybe when I was a teenager or something, and they played with them way more than I would have. And they're a little dog-eared and a little scratched up, but I've still got them sitting there. So.
Yeah, and adding on to that, and let me just start, Rhys, by saying, dude, thank you so much for everything that you guys have been doing. Absolutely love the app. I'm actually 25 years old, and I actually just got an Ice King NFT from my brother for my birthday.
Nice. Yeah.
So shout out to Frank if you're listening. But I got kind of a fun one for you. In your opinion, what do you think, would you say is like the most underrated, slept on collectible in the market right now, and why is it the Todd Batman?
And why is
it the Todd Batman?
Good for you. Just trying to pump my bags a little bit. Just trying to pump my bags.
That's fair, man. That's fair. Yeah. I actually do think the Todd Batman is an underrated collectible. It's obviously the first appearance Batman, but the first ever collectible to hit VeVe, which, owing to the fact we all kind of see where this is going, and if we're going to keep penetrating this global audience, I kind of envision a day in, maybe 5 years or 10 years where the same sort of fandom books are being written about VeVe, like they'll have all the season 1 collectibles in there, or they'll have all the first appearance collectibles, all the ultra rares, all of that kind of thing, the same way you see that stuff with Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, right? So yeah, I really do think that very first Todd Batman not only holds value as a collectible, but is a little piece of nostalgia that people will look back on. I know that same thing as we just had that discussion about having those Pokemon cards. That's the first collectible I ever got on VeVe, and I think that will stand to have some value too. As to other ones in the market, I'm just going through the market at the moment. Look, I know a lot of people love the Adventure Time stuff, and it's just that little bit harder to get because it was only available in the China store. So I think the people that were around and got them earlier are holding on to them. Ritmo, now that it's animated, there's never many Ritmos going. But it's going to be interesting to see which other ones get upgrades as we move forward too, right? Because that one was unexpected. I don't think anyone will be aware of the next ones either. So I think that story is yet to be written, to be honest.
I remember the good old days when I would literally I would sit up at night on the app and watch the collectibles, the count go down further and further. And I think I remember it was maybe on Twitter, the excitement started happening for me and then a few others might be new to that down on the collectibles. And so yeah.
Agreed. There was, and as more people were coming in, and then so that got shared around a bit. Oh my God, this whatever it was, Becky or something, and then everybody moved to the next one, and that started selling out. And then more users came in. It was getting that viral share quality going, and then within 2 weeks, everything sold out. You just saw the attention shift in the community to like, the Mooka's about to sell out, or this thing's about to sell out. And yeah, watching that, especially after the first 2 months or 2.5 months where you could just go in and buy what you wanted, and most of us probably regret not buying a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, I wish I could go back to that now.
I look back now and I'm like, why did I only buy one of those? It seems so obvious, but it was new. Maybe with those early collectibles, the edition numbers were so high that we just thought they would last us until now. So to see that shift happen so rapidly was, as you said, just incredible to watch, and you saw the excitement start to build. And obviously, that was driven by speculation there too, people hoping to just flip these things straight away, which was happening for a while. But I think now that the whole NFT industry has settled again, we can just start to really build in again instead of just trying to keep our heads above water when things are going that crazy. So.
Rhys, something that's popped up quite a bit, obviously with the price drop of Omi is it was a very, very detailed Twitter feed a couple of days ago from a guy, I forget his name. It was like a 50 tweet analysis of the token, and he says he's a big lover of VeVe, but he sold all his Omi tokens. We get it on our Facebook group a lot, saying, people believe that there shouldn't be an Omi token at all. They should just focus on VeVe as the app. Are you able to just give, I guess, a layman's terms of why the Omi token exists? Your focus on that versus VeVe?
Yep. Yeah. So the token exists, that when we first started raising money, that was the route we chose to take. Now all of those tokens were sold essentially as future credits to be able to reclaim and purchase your collectibles on the platform. But just in general, as a fundraising mechanism that crypto provides through whether it's an ICO or just a general token sale or whatever, is revolutionary in itself, right? It lets the little guy, it lets all of us choose where to put our money and to invest in something we believe in, as opposed to just trying to raise capital from VC and profit-driven companies. So, we're always building this platform for users and for collectors, and that was one way for us to access that marketplace without unfairly cutting everybody out. So that's where the Omi token started, and that was the point, and that's why it got built into the ecosystem and remains so today, to reward those users. Now, we are a tech company, and obviously VeVe is the platform and the product, and that has been built specifically for the mainstream. But that doesn't mean we wanted to build it in a way that disadvantaged or cut out the people who showed their faith in us in the first place, and believed in our vision and the idea. Now, of course, along that journey, people are always going to drop off because they lose their belief or they don't have the conviction to follow that through, and that's fine. You know, if that's the way that people want to go about it, cool. But as I've said a few times, for people who truly understand the potentiality of VeVe, and we all agree and believe that that's where this is going, it just seems a no-brainer to hold the token. I mean, to me anyway, right? Like it's as this tech builds out, as the adoption continues, as we leverage the 100+ brands and fan bases that we have, we are literally talking about millions and millions of people coming into the app, which will always be burning that token and reducing the supply over time. Now, it's not, I think most people in crypto lose interest if they don't go a million X in 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
What most of the FUD and carry on is, this has always been a slow burn. You know, we saw some crazy growth as people recognized the platform, obviously, the first few months of this year. But yeah, the system's designed to slowly deflate the token supply over time, predicated on the sale of the NFTs, right? As more people come in, sales increase, market activity increases, token burn increases. So yeah, that's the integration. That was the reasoning behind having a token in the first place. It's just another way for us to open access to people and you know, potentially benefit their financial future. But like with any investment, you have to understand what it is you've invested in. You have to have the conviction that it's going to get there. And I, for one, have that conviction wholeheartedly. So
for sure. And I guess my response to that, sorry, Kay, one sec, is just
oh yeah, sure.
I'm invested in traditional shares, right? Traditional stocks, which I've actually sold quite a bit of recently. And you know, like, we don't have much of a say in those businesses, right? Whether it's BHP here or whatever stock you might have. Whereas with VeVe, you know, we're chatting to you, we're chatting to Dan, we're in there, we're using it. The stickiness, as Trev said, is insane, right? I joked about it the other day. We need VeVe Anonymous group because we're all addicts to it. Cavell's YouTube yesterday about it won't just be, in my opinion, us buying NFTs, which will cause the burn of the tokens. It will be, you know, you'll have gamification. You'll be doing things in the VeVeverse, which will also, you know, potentially burn. So it's not just going to be NFTs. So
for sure,
yeah, I'm invested strongly for those reasons.
Correct. And as we stimulate the marketplace, you know, at the moment there's that 2.5% that's getting burnt, right? I think that economy becomes exponentially larger than purchasing from the store, you know. So even though it's a smaller percentage being burnt, like if you have 10 million people in that app and they're all actively trading collectibles between themselves to complete their sets, to earn master collector points, to, you know, all these other incentivization things to stimulate that economy, that the burn rate from that is just going through the roof, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. And how liquid it is, right? It's just so easy to do it. You just jump on there and you can buy and sell within literally seconds. Whereas now you try and get on eBay or something, you've got to send something.
Yeah.
It just seems old school, right? So,
and you've got to find a collector that is interested enough to buy the thing you were selling, you know. Whereas, yeah, VeVe brings it all in-house. You've got a marketplace there. You can literally filter and search through these things and sell something to someone across the world in fractions of a second. You know, that in itself is a technology that will be exponentially adopted, and just a paradigm. You know, that's a new paradigm in collecting as opposed to the physical world of collecting. And then, as you said, we build in more and more utilities for the token, right? I mean, there's going to be staking opportunities to increase your master collector ranking. The VeVeverse will use the token. Like everything we build out from this point will use that in some way. So yeah, it's absolutely not just going to be the sale of NFTs in the store. There's already other mechanisms there that reduce the supply over time, and we'll continue to build those in too. Obviously, because we're token holders as well, you know, like, I mean, we're creating value for everybody in doing that. You know, it's to everyone's benefit to do that. And then it maintains the stickiness, as you said, because it's just another way for people to be involved with what we're doing and with the product and the company. So
right.
Yeah.
And I think that you know, just from being in crypto so long, I think a lot of people are new to, and I have a kind of a skewed, you know, they kind of have a skewed outlook of crypto, just because you know, Dogecoin and of course Shiba and everything like that, where, you know, yes, there's gains, but if you backtrack a little bit, tokens like Bitcoin or ADA, even Ethereum. I remember looking at Ethereum at like $6 or $10 and thinking that was expensive, but that's all hindsight, right? And those are solid projects that now look, they look amazing now, but it took years to build up to that. And I think that a lot of people that are new to crypto kind of have need to maybe take a step back and kind of realize, like, for this to build up, you obviously, like you were saying, with all the, all like the master collectors, staking and things like that, like that's going to build up. And I think people need to, take a step back and realize, and smell the coffee on that a little bit. So that's my little soapbox.
Yeah, there's a lot of instant gratification going on, and it's people just need to kind of slow down, back up, let the app do its thing, let the market do its thing.
Correct. And I think it's pretty crucial to remember that a lot of people are new to crypto, right? Anyone who's joined crypto in the last 6 months has just seen the number go up, right, until this week. And they really get complacent, and they think that that's what it is. It's really easy to make money because you just throw $100 at some dog shit coin and it's going to go through the roof because everybody else says it is, and those same investors, and I say investors very loosely, are going to learn the hard way that if there's nothing backing that token except for hype, that token is going to nothing, whereas we are, and I say this to people all the time, literally one of the only projects in crypto that has a user base and a real product.
Yeah.
Everyone froths on Cardano, and I'm a fan of the chain. There's nothing built on it. There are no users on Cardano, and it has a $60 billion valuation right now. So yeah, I just think a bit of perspective is important. I think a lot of people are going to get burned.
Time frame it.
Hype coins. I know, right? I saw it happen in 2017. I've been through this. I sat through crypto winter for 2.5 years, learning about the space and understanding what actually gives these things long-term value, right? And as you just said, Ethereum at $6 seemed expensive, and it probably was then. Ethereum now, I think, is vastly undervalued based on what they have coming, right? It's one of the only chains that is actually generating fees. And although those gas fees are high, they're high because things are being built on them. It's actually being used, right? And it's validating that use case of the technology. So yeah, I think a lot of people they don't know enough about the space, and then they make assumptions based on a number going up instead of fundamentals, and fundamentals will win out every single time in this industry.
I feel like it's time for you to show your bags to the community here and to let us know what crypto projects you're invested in, or which ones you find interesting.
Obviously, Omi. That's number one. Ethereum, I am a big holder of these days. Well, I guess big is a matter of perspective, but fundamentally, I think that's already won the race as the go-to chain. Visa's settling on it. Governments are building on it for central bank digital currencies. All the best developers are on there. I really think that's won the race as the base layer platform, and with scaling and layer twos, I think they're going to take it out.
Okay.
So I think from a chain perspective, that's the winner. I'll always hold Bitcoin. People lose sight of it because they think it's slow and clunky and all those things, and it is. But Bitcoin is a finished product. Compared to most blockchains or products that are in development, Bitcoin could do nothing from this point on, and it will still hold value because it has that cash supply and it has that store of value narrative. So yeah, really, and I give this advice to everybody in crypto from many lessons learned and years of losing money. Bitcoin and Ethereum should make up a big majority of your portfolio. It's okay to have other stuff, and I absolutely think we should be supporting.
I'm very surprised that Rhys is saying this.
I think Cardano is going to have a place, and
I respect him for it.
But really, in 5-10 years' time, I just don't see a future where there's more than 5, 6, max maybe 10 blockchains that run all the base layer infrastructure for this industry. And then the apps get built on top of them. It's like the Samsung iPhone race. There's the two. There's Android and iOS. Right, and then everything gets built on top of those. I think of blockchain the same way. for those things. Now, I have a few scaling technology projects. I like Omise Go. Used to hold some Raiden, but the state channels thing doesn't seem to be in favor now for scaling. But I like to invest in different sectors for different things. DWeb, like file storage, things like that, Filecoin. I think that's going to be a big narrative play out. We've seen perfect example. I was talking to someone yesterday about the GameStop thing that we all saw happen, and they got deplatformed, right? I think Discord kicked them off. I think Robinhood shut them down, all of those kind of things. So every time something like that happens in the mainstream, the push to decentralization in general becomes stronger, right? So that those things can't get cut out. And if you're following that trend on a macro scale, you can really see that those decentralized protocols are going to win that race as well. I think the same thing applies to borrowing and lending markets. Anything that opens financial services to the unbanked, because now anyone with a smartphone in their pocket can access financial services. And in the Western world, where we consider smartphones, iPhones and Samsung Galaxies and those things, but I think still to this day, the most sold phone is the Nokia 1000 or something, which is a basic smartphone selling in developing countries.
Oh, that makes sense.
That opens access to financial services. So the ability to borrow and lend based against those holdings are incredible.
I am surprised by that, actually.
In DeFi, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I really think that people should be looking more strongly at those instead of going for the next moonbag. And yeah, it might take some more patience before that value increases exponentially, but I think it's a safer play to have value adoption come from fundamentals and from use than from speculation. I think everyone would agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The good insight there.
Yeah, not sure what it's in my bags, but yeah, I think that's the message I want to drive home more than anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think I call them to my friends, when they're asking me about crypto. I say, don't pay attention to all these hype coins, and put your money into blue chip crypto, like, obviously like Bitcoin, Ethereum. I think ADA will have some use cases.
Obviously, to be very clear, this channel has no financial advice on it. Everything that these people are saying is their own opinions, nothing to do with me. Just want to make that very clear.
You have to look around, like you're saying that, my buddy said, no, he has no gains. So
I personally had to learn that lesson a few times before it actually sunk in. And I dare say that, people either see that happen and get turned off from the industry, or they recognize the opportunity and dive in, and as most of us have probably learned, once you go down that rabbit hole, you're in, you can't unlearn this stuff. And I for one, investing for me started with crypto. I wasn't one I don't have a share portfolio or and all of those kind of things. But as you dive into the world of crypto, you actually take on macro finance and economics. You have to understand what is taking place in the world, inflation rates and money printing and quantitative easing and all of these kind of things, because they're all the narrative drivers for a finite asset, and one that is controlled by the people instead of the state, and all of those reasons that I think people really get excited about crypto when they understand it. And look, it's on all of us that already do understand that to bring people into the ecosystem properly, instead of hyping up crap coins just to try and turn a profit. Because everyone likes to think, oh, I would have got in then and it would have sold out there and I would have made this much money. But no, you wouldn't have. You wouldn't know. To overcome that lizard brain and that tells you to sell when things are toppy, instead of having that little bit of greed that goes, oh, it'll go a little bit higher. It'll go a little bit higher, and then it burns, I think it's the responsibility of everybody who understands crypto to educate people as much as possible instead of just hyping things up.
Hey, Rhys, if I could bring it back to the Omi token for a second. Am I wrong in thinking with the tokenomics that Omi has that it's possible that it's bear market proof later down the line?
I don't think anything is bear market proof. I think we have absolutely designed our tokenomics to perform regardless of market
business.
conditions, right?
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of having a real world product that fans and collectors want instead of just speculators. So yeah, absolutely. I think we will perform better than most if we go into a bear market. Whether we go into a 2-year-long crypto winter again, I have no idea. And that will depend on what kind of players are in the game. You know, are the majority of Omi token holders speculators, or do they understand the tokenomics and believe in the future of that platform? Now, regardless of whether they do or not, you know, when people start losing money or feel like they're losing money or they have real world things to pay for, you're always going to liquidate whatever assets you have to, right? So yeah, I think if everything goes into a big bear market again, we're not proof. You know, we're not going to absolutely avoid that downturn, but through that, you know, we will continue to build VeVe as the product, and as that adoption continues, really benefits token holders. So yeah, I think we have one of the best
when you have a
chances
business tied to it,
compared to most projects in the space to survive that again and to push through. I mean, look, we've just made it through crypto winter, right? We had a raise. Well, our first raise in 2018 didn't come off. And then we ended up we had to go back to the drawing board, restructure the business, did a private raise, went to IEO, and then we've bootstrapped the crap out of this for the last 4 years to bring it to where it is. So yeah, I have no doubt that we survive, but I can't speak to the token value during that time. That depends on everybody in the space.
Just on that point about the token. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
Oh, you can make your point about the token, because I was going to switch it up a tiny bit. So go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, cool. So on the point of tokenomics, so just going back to the point, I think Mark raised it about the guy who did like quite an in-depth analysis he modeled like the burn rate and everything. And I've kind of been quite outspoken that, you know, although I didn't disagree with the numbers or anything, that you can't really model accurately the tokenomics of, you know, how the Omi token is going to burn, because you've alluded as well in the past that there can be additional burns added on, you know, burn events. And you also alluded that when Omi is swapping over to the new chain, that's an ample opportunity to potentially burn tokens as well. And we don't have all of this information right now at present to make an accurate model. So would you say that you can't actually accurately predict the burn rate right now, and will we see additional burns?
I absolutely can say that. Yeah, you can't accurately model it. I haven't seen this thread, so I don't know what numbers he was using, but you know that burn rate increases as the user base increases as well. So I imagine you would have to make some pretty big assumptions as to how many users, how active they are. All of those things. You also can't integrate the new utilities, what effect staking will have on the token, all of those kind of things, because I mean, you know, a lot of that information just isn't available yet too. I acknowledge that. So yeah, there is that. And yes, we have indeed alluded to extra burn events. You know, when we switch over to immutable, maybe we just leave some tokens behind in those reserves as well, because, you know, we don't need a 50-year token supply in there. It's actually been an advantage to the way that it was initially designed, that we do have a lot of tokens. So it gives us a lot of opportunity there. As many of you know, there was the 97 billion that got locked away forever. And we were still thankfully and happily in a position to actually just leave those be. Whereas, you know, I think some projects might have forked to reclaim them. So yeah, there's definitely potentiality there. I don't want to go out and give people massive ideas. That will depend on the transition itself, and we'll release more information on that as we go. But yeah, it's definitely on the cards.
I just wanted to add on to Rhys's response to the Gale. I've had this conversation with my family a lot regarding the token, and it's, I guess, you're bulletproof against a bear market, because we are heavy investors in this project. And my background personally has come from being in collectibles since I was a child. My first collectible was when I was, I think, 5 years old, and it was a Star Trek action figure. That's just almost the state of the world. You know, I mean, obviously, like right now, it's kind of a different story, but even then, peer tokens, whether people want to admit it or not, are still just ideas, just like he was mentioning, or Rhys was mentioning about Cardano. There's no product. There's nobody's using it. It's just an idea still. That's being worked on, but there's still nothing there. If you look at VeVe, there's an actual product. There's a second throughout the.
I'm only skipping because we know this. Like, all respect to, I think it's Grenada Warfare talking, and I do appreciate them. They're oftentimes in the clubhouse. They clearly do awesome stuff, but yeah, we know a lot of this. So,
footballs. It doesn't matter if we're in a recession or not. In things like that, collectible. That absolutely not. If all the tokens crash and it's the bear market, that Omi is still going to go to the moon or something. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that it's going to be in a lot better position than a lot of other tokens are.
Yeah. Have their own value, C is going to become more scarce over time, which presumably will see it appreciate in value. Obviously not financial advice, yada, yada. The collectibles themselves, we've already created a new economy for those items and those assets, and fans don't just stop being fans because crypto's in a bear market.
Literally,
they will always want those kind of products. Not to mention, and everybody knows this, I would assume, but the collectibles you're seeing now are one product that we have coming, right? And you've just seen we've announced Ron English, right? That's the first physical digital bridge that we're releasing. I don't think it's the first one from NFTs. I've seen some shoes and things happen, but from a premium artist to release, they're a solid sculpture. That little Grim Reaper smile rabbit. Those things as just a physical item hold a hell of a lot of value for people in the art and collective industry.
Hell yeah.
Ron English is obviously only the first one that we've announced, so there's more coming in that space too. Plus a whole range of other products that will see us continue to access new audiences, new fan bases, new collectors. We're a platform, and that just opens us up to so many possibilities.
Sparky, did you? Yeah, I was just about to ask if you had a question. Yeah.
Yeah, as a platform, so are you guys only is VeVe only exclusive to VeVe collectibles they drop? So eventually you said you're gonna have the desktop app, and then they are NFTs, we can take them off and send them elsewhere. There is a marketplace for it all. My question is, will you guys ever adapt allowing other NFTs onto the platform to be able to be sold? And that's a way to burn the tokens as well.
I thought that's going to be a
depends
no.
on
but...
the thing. So initially, I'll say no. Not really. We will, with the Artist Alley, we open the opportunity for specific artists to come and release on the platform. But it will still be curated. It's not going to become like a Rareable or a Nifty Gateway or something like that, where user-generated content can be sold through the market. Because our whole point of difference is that it is premium brands, premium curation, premium artists, those kind of things. Now, if you are an incredible designer and make some kick-ass work that is worthy of the platform, then there will be opportunity there to do some releases and things like that. But
that's a really good question.
Anytime soon, a really good question. Up to just user-generated content. Personally, I think it's just too chaotic. It's an amazing way for people to create new audiences and reach new fan bases, but there's a lot of crap out there too. And I can just take a photo of my foot and create an NFT out of it. You really don't want that.
Some people might want that.
You haven't seen my feet. We'll see. But you know what I mean?
Do we need to bring up Dad Bod on the toilet?
You don't want that listed next to Dad Bod Batman or Ron English Grim Reaper, or things like that. So there will always be a measure of curation, and I would say for the next few years that will be a very a very hands-on thing for us, to really bring on those premium brands and things like that. Plus, we've got so much content, with more than 100 brands and artists, more signing on all the time, however many series releases from each brand or each license, all of that kind of to sort of the randomized user-generated stuff that yeah, I just don't think that it's necessary as a platform, and it's one of our key points of difference, right? We're accessing established brands and established fan bases, and that's what's
you know, when I see these other platforms, you know, and I just see all the stuff on there, it just doesn't interest me. You know, I don't really get the wow factor.
That, but VeVe
Mhm.
just does a good job of like categorizing and just like it's just so accessible, I guess.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what Rhys was saying. You know, it's built by collectors for collectors, and I think that's massively important. You know, for an NFT platform. You know, it's like these other platforms. They're great. They have artists on there, but they also have just too much junk. And Gary Vee has even said it himself. You know, it's just kind of like a lot of these projects aren't going to be around, and or at least artists and things like that. But it's going to come down to, you know, quote unquote, big, you know, I think he even said he was talking about Top Shots, and, you know, he was saying it's going to come down to the players. And then he mentioned, you know, this player's he's not a Batman or he's not a Superman. You know, nobody knows this guy, but, you know, in 1 year that dunk is not going to be worth, you know, what it was, you know, this year during the bull market. So,
Yeah, but they like messed up with the whole marketing of everything and that and how much they did with releases and stuff.
yeah, I'm unfamiliar with, a little bit with them, but I've kind of noticed the little things here and there, but not to directly compare with Top Shots at all.
Yeah, and then Run has their own thing too.
Yeah, and look, I think some of those marketplaces will survive. You know, people need places to go and trade these assets and things. And look, maybe some NFTs take off on other chains at some point. But yeah, whether the business that is attached to them or whatever, you know, like if it just becomes the marketplace, it's yet to be seen. Right? We're still so early in all of this, but yeah, as I said, it's just one of our key. We don't have to actually kind of like maybe Axie Infinity. You know, they seem to have a pretty good following and user base and players on the game. But can you guys name other NFT projects that are establishing their own brand as a product?
Michael Keane's probably the man there to tell you on that. He's the NFT guru.
You're asking to other. I wasn't thinking about that. I was actually trying to plan my own question while you were saying that. So to be honest with you, I didn't hear exactly what you said. If you want to ask the question again, I could probably have an answer for you.
Yeah. Just talking about NFT projects or NFT-based projects at the moment that have successfully established themselves as a brand. So I gave Axie Infinity as an example, right? Most people, I think, in the space know about Axies. It's got a bit of hype. It's still only within crypto, to my knowledge. Gods Unchained might be another example as a game that stands to penetrate a bit further, you know, as its own entity. But yeah, these marketplaces, yeah, go for it.
Oh, well, there's definitely a few. You mentioned that, like, Our Planet's a very popular one where, you know, this stuff's really expensive. People are making a lot of money. VeFriends, somebody mentioned Gary Vee. I mean, I was looking back at, you know, where they're at. They're getting close to being sold out. The floor is really high. Like, that's a very successful. That thing's going to turn into, like, he's going to do all kinds of, like,
I believe
toys,
too.
Clothing.
I believe.
Probably.
But see, that's leveraging his brand, right? He is already established with it. Yeah. Whereas
that stuff's so exciting. I'm a Gary Vee fan myself. What I think I'm going to do, because I do have other things I need to get on with, and this is a 2.5 hour thing. We've managed to get through around 2 hours. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to segment what we have so far. I'm also going to upload this as a full video, and then after this, I think off recording, I'm going to listen to the rest of this, and then if there's something that needs to be pointed out, I will do. But thank you, Carl Wilson, for posting this. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I do need to get on with some other things. The price right now has gone down since we started watching, but it is very interesting, and I'm glad that we have quite a few topics to go over today and tomorrow, and this isn't the only thing that I need to look at. So yeah, I'm very excited. Lots going on here. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, everyone. Really appreciate you all. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.